Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we are looking at a scenario where the HRE reforms in 2023. So here we have some HRE borders. I tried to combine some of their different forms to make it kind of a more equaled out HRE, but I mean, yeah, they changed a lot. Northern Italy, they lost Switzerland. Eventually their borders got down to more Germanic tribes around there. They also lost the Dutch during that time. So you could consider that the HRE. Sometimes all of Belgium is included from a different time. Sometimes this is just taken out and given to France. But this is relative borders of different points of HRE history. And obviously it was never actually a unified country, but here it is. And well, obviously it's going to be a world power. I'd say it's rivaling Russia for the number 3 spot, which is quite impressive if you ask me, as it is not tiny, but a considerably smaller country than Russia is. Just making sure the controls work there. Still, economy very powerful. Northern Italy, parts of France, the Benelux, and most of Germany, along with Austria, Czechia. It is a very powerful country when it comes to economy. What are they going to do? Same thing all my empires do at the beginning. Take advantage of weakened countries, and of course that isn't going to work. Now is it going to work? Of course it isn't going to work. There we go. Now it should work. And of course, the map decides to pull a little funny and not work. But now it should, and if it doesn't, then that would be an issue, but it does. So yeah, as I was saying, they're just going to go ahead and annex all weaker lands from countries they've already weakened. Czechia, well, this is all that's left of Czechia. This is all that's left of Austria. Point is, these countries have nothing left. They are incredibly weak. Slovenia, just dead. Belgium lost most of their land. These countries, I doubt they could survive with all of this land gone, especially some of them. Denmark might have gone to this before, but for now, these are the new HRE borders, and they're quite decently powerful. As I said, they control a lot of Central Europe, now controlling all of Germany, Northern Italy, Czechia, all of Austria, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. That is one powerhouse right there. What are they going to do now? Look for other weaker countries on your border, and they're going to annex Slovakia. What are they going to work towards here? Well, obviously expansion, because that's what all my empires do. But this is a very large economical power. Their main job here is most likely going to be to unite Europe in some form or another. Maybe in the European Union, maybe it's still called the HRE, or maybe just the Roman Empire itself. But they are going to attempt to unite the entire continent under one flag. How are they going to do this? Well, they're going to go ahead and say Poland. Yeah, there's not going to be a Poland for very long. And they declare war on the country. Poland is going to fight as hard as they can, but overall, with the HRE increasing its military at rapid pace, Poland's not going to stand a chance. Yes, they're improving their military, but they've lost some land, and the HRE would be stronger to begin with, even if they hadn't. So there goes Poland, and the HRE now, it's still going to be called the HRE in my video, and I'm still going to call it the HRE, but it has technically been renamed to the Central European Confederation of States. But that part is normally excluded, and it's just called Central Europe. How are they going to change this? Well, they're going to go ahead and say Southern Italy. Why not just take it all over? And they now control all of the Italian peninsula. That's good for them. Capital, I guess I should mention this. It would probably be Berlin, but some other notable cities here would be Amsterdam, Brussels, Warsaw, Prague, Vienna, and Rome. Just some of the capitals, some of the countries in it, but still very large cities. Where are they going to go from here? Once again, the honorable campaign of taking over a lot weaker nations. Lithuania, Latvia, and for Estonia, I'm going to have Finland come to their aid, but with Europe pushing the Finns out of the, the Nordics are on the mainland, but off of the Baltic region, they sign a peace treaty. Not much they can do about that. And now they're just the European Union, but a bit weaker. Are they going to change this? Well, with a simple thing called war. They declare war on France, but this is when the first coalition against them forms. the French, the United Kingdom, and the most powerful of them all, of course, Denmark, join in against them. How's this going to affect them? Well, it's just going to give them more land in the end. They begin to flood troops into France. They do not in the UK, but they begin to flood troops into northern France and into southern France as they have lost the Alpines to protect them. They then begin to they didn't have a lot of divisions up here in Denmark, but Germany capitulated in them 6 hours. This was a 5-hour war, one of the shortest in history. Not the shortest, though. Not the shortest. From there, the Nordics are going to say, hey, you're going to kill our pal Belgium, you're going to kill us. Why is this? Well, because the Northern European Defense Committee was just created between the Nordics and the UK. And, well, Denmark. And since Denmark was, they technically joined in on their own terms, but everyone kind of saw it as a declaration of war from the HRE. They're going to join in as well. Terrible for the HRE, great for the blue team. What else is going to happen? Well, Spain joins this new alliance, as does Portugal. So the blue team is getting a lot more powerful, but the red team is too. They decide, okay, what can we do to expand? And they decide that friendly terms with Russia is preferable. So they buy Kaliningrad instead of declaring more senseless wars. And basically everyone just wants Russia dead here. Blue and red team. But for now, red team and Russia are going to be at peace. As the Russians might want some land to secure St. Petersburg, and the Finns might want to get that old border back. As for the actual war, well, the HRE is continuing to push into France, but it is at a slower and slower pace as blue team troops begin to flood into the country. There are probably more British and Nordic and Spanish troops in here than French now, but the fact is Paris is still captured, and the French are slowly but surely dying. The Spanish see this and say, okay, HRE, can I just leave the war and I don't lose anything? And the HRE says, give me the Balearic Islands, and Spain says, okay, fine, in return for a pact of non-aggression. Europe says, okay, sure, and now Spain is out of the war. Well, that's a massive hit to the to the blue team, not just because Spain is a fairly powerful country, but because now Portugal can't supply France, and it's harder for the UK to do so as well. So Portugal leaves the war. They're still in the alliance, by the way, they just leave the war. As for the Nordics, well, they decide that they can't just let Germany control Denmark, so they make a landing and recapture Copenhagen and some of the islands, but the HRE forces manage to hold down the Danish mainland. What's going to happen from here? Well, peace is going to happen from here, as more countries are threatening to join the blue team, and the HRE is honestly just sick of this fight. How's this going to end? Well, I am going to color all of the blue team technically in orange, but they did not surrender. This was a ceasefire, in which the HRE is going to gain a fair amount of land, but overall the French are not puppeted, and they are most importantly not annexed. At least most importantly for them. So yeah, the French have lost a lot of land and a lot of important land, so France is now considered a much more minor state. The HRE also takes a lot of land out of Denmark, but the rest of it unites with the new Scandinavian Union that also takes Greenland and Iceland. So now, the HRE, they expanded. They did succeed in their goals of expanding, but they have also created for themselves multiple enemies who want nothing but to see them killed. That's never good. But hey, HRE doesn't care. They got to expand, and that was their main goal. So here we now have a lot of these white Western European countries are now in this defense alliance, which the HRE is eventually going to attempt to push them back, but that's going to take a second. And they should probably gain some strength before attempting to defeat the entire alliance once more. Once again, some more countries are joining. Ireland joins and Spain rejoins, ignoring their non-aggression pact with the HRE. Where are we going from here? Well, the HRE does a small detour into Africa, capturing Tunisia to stop some Mediterranean trade that the UK was doing. The UK is really mad, blows up some HRE ships. War starts for like 2 days, and then they both realize nothing's going to happen. Everyone threatens to join in, and it ends in a ceasefire with no actual damage being done except for some naval ships. From there, the HRE is going to see this area. It's called the Balkans, and the HRE wants it. How are they going to get it? Well, through war, of course. So they declare war on Croatia and Bosnia. What did they not see coming? Well, the creation of a Balkan alliance and Romania and Bulgaria joining in. Of course, this does nothing as they can only supply Croatia and Bosnia, but soon enough it expands to Hungary and Albania. Along with that, Greece is forced in as, well, the HRE basically just says, yeah, I'm gonna kill Greece to one of the spies in their country, and Greece decides, okay, I either join in now and hope not to die, or join in later and die. So now the Balkan Entente is at war with the HRE. What are they gonna do? Well, the HRE is gonna do what they do best and keep the war going and try not to die. From there, Moldova joins. North Macedonia eventually joins despite Greece and kind of Bulgaria protesting it. Serbia refuses, but Montenegro eventually agrees, and as does Kosovo, which leads to Serbia kind of... They don't join the red team, but they join their own team, just against the blue team. So yeah, this is now the war. Who else is going to get involved? Well, Turkey actually makes themselves an ally of the HRE. The HRE decides, hey, I doubt we can hold all this land anyway, might as well get ourselves an ally in the region and hopefully push around a bit more. So now Turkey's in the war. Turkish troops begin to advance into Greece and Bulgaria, who were not expecting this. If anything, they were expecting Turkey to join them to attempt to hold back the HRE. Not to try and kill them, but what do you expect? It's Turkey. So they begin to take all the Aegean islands, but are eventually stopped and even pushed back by the blue team. From there, Serbia is going to do their best. They're going to capture Kosovo, push into Montenegro, and just out in all directions. But that's not going to last very long. As for the HRE, well, they see this mess that is the Balkans and decide to invade. Well, they had already invaded, but now they're going in hard. They're pushing into all factions, and finally all sides realize that they're going to die, and Serbia joins the blue team. Not willingly, but the HRE kind of just declares war on all of them, and they have to work together or die. From there, Turkey basically just tells Greece and Bulgaria, hey, give me some land along the border, and maybe I'll stop attacking you for now. Greece and Bulgaria see this as their best option, and cede some land on the border to the Turkish government. Greece also, despite a lot of objections in the country, agrees to recognize Turkish claim to Cyprus. So now Turkey's big. Turkey's very big. Good for you, Turkey. You've taken advantage of the powder keg that is the Balkans, as always. From here, Turkey decides to stay an HRE ally, but still leaves the war as, well, they basically tell the HRE, hey, you're like the most powerful country in Europe, right? You got this. And honestly, the HRE is fine with that. They're breezing into Croatia and Bosnia, being stopped near Serbia and near the Transylvanian mountains. From here, they continue to push down into Montenegro, as that area is much less defended, and down into Albania, down the Adriatic coast. Mediterranean, I guess. From here, well, the Balkan League sees no hope, and they now have themselves some allies. The blue team, yeah, remember them? They're still pissed about losing all that land. And they're going to decide that now is their best chance. Also, I did say the Nordics united. I'll unite them in a second. But the entirety of the Northern European Defense Coalition, at this point probably just the European Defense Coalition, or the Anti-HRE Pact, whatever you'd like to call it, joins in to this war against the HRE. This is practically Europe's final chance to stop them before they get too powerful, and this really just shows you that, I mean, not even that long ago, 100, 200 years ago, Europe had this dynamic which basically made it so that no power could get too big. Whenever one person was getting too strong, all the other powers would team up to fight against them. Well, this is that, but modern day. All of the European powers are deciding that enough is enough and that they have to kill the HRE before the HRE kills them. Honestly, pretty good way of thinking, but is it gonna work? Originally, yes. The HRE has a lot of divisions in the Balkans. They're gonna push into Serbia and capitulate the country. From there, North Macedonia and Albania fall, and now Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, and Greece are fighting guerrilla warfare in their own land. France is gonna have a bit of fun pushing back into its old lands with no German troops in sight. Same thing for the Nordics, who begin to push into Denmark. From here, the HRE finally realizes what's happening, and their government is alerted of the Blue Team invasion. They immediately redirect a bunch of divisions, which helps the Balkans, which is pretty much what the European Defense Coalition wanted to gain from this. And it also just hurts the HRE a bit. From there, France tells them, hey, you want peace, but we get all our old land back. And the HRE tells them that they're stupid, and why would the HRE ever agree to that? And they actually begin to push back the French. Yeah, these guys have a very powerful military. Very powerful. They're steamrolling the Balkans, pushing back into Western Europe, and stopping the Nordics dead in their tracks. From there, the Nordics offer the HRE peace. The British offer them peace. The French decide to keep going. Then they get beaten back a whole lot. They get beaten back into their own territory, and they decide that enough is enough as well. From there, the Balkans are having a similar story. They begin to too, as the Bulgarian fighters are continuing inside their own territory, but are overall falling. The HRE has pushed past all major rivers, and the Transylvanian mountains are no longer stopping them. The river I was talking about was the Danube. Blinked on that for a second. But they've also captured Thessaloniki. The Greeks are fighting in their mountains, but can they really win? No, probably not. How's this war gonna end? Well, in another stalemate. These Western European powers have already decided for peace, and, well, the Greeks are trying to fight. But the truth is, the HRE has won this war. The Blue Team is gonna do their best to kind of get back all the things that they lost, but there's not that much they can do anymore. Might just be too late for them. What is going to happen here? Well, a new peace treaty. Let me show you that and with at the end of this video. The HRE does lose northern Denmark to the Nordic Union, but they gain some lands out of France and down to Spain. They say, hey, we had a non-aggression pact, you broke that, you suffer the consequences, and they take most of Catalonia. As for France, they are further punished, as the HRE takes a lot of the central lands and even some of the northern lands that they hadn't taken before. The UK is let off with no real punishment, and as for the Balkans, well, except for a minor Greek protectorate, the rest of the Balkans are now the HRE. Yeah, how are they going to hold that? I'll show you in a second. It's probably never going to work, but what choice do they really have here? The HRE, they have a few choices here. Either give the people a good life and make them think that being in your union makes their lives better and that they should want it, or crack down on any and all resistance that you face. HRE is going to try a bit of both. They're going to try and give the people good lives and make some actual improvements. But of course, if that fails, there's always the first option to go back to. Oppress everyone, kill everyone who doesn't like you. Yeah, not the preferable option for anyone, but hey, the HRE just politically states that what must be done has to be done to keep their empire in check. And that they're very mad at the Nordics, but what can they really do? As the European Defense Committee alliance is growing, as Ukraine joins in, Turkey is still an HRE ally, seeing it as their best chance not to get annexed. But a lot of the rest of Europe is starting to join this alliance. Actually, the rest of Europe, which may not be a lot, but they're fighting. Also, North Africa, that had originally formed up the North African Pact, doesn't believe that this is enough. So they officially form up to form the Anti-HRE Expansion League with the North African Federation Defense Alliance, the European Defense League, and the Balkan Pact, which now just has Greece in it, all unite against the HRE. So yeah, common enemy, HRE here. Has a lot of enemies, a lot of people who really want to kill them. But they are the most powerful country in Europe, rivaling the US, rivaling China. And their influence is fairly unmatched on the continent. Of course, this is going to be an ongoing struggle between the two sides, and the HRE will have to do something if they hope not to collapse from political instabilities, which honestly they already would have. So, how was the HRE surviving this? Well, as I said, they most likely couldn't, but I'm gonna have to come up with something. So, autonomy to all regions and you more advanced states. Yeah, woo! Here, let me go ahead and show you those states. First off, we have the Greek state down here in Southern Europe. We have the Romanian state over here. The Bulgarian state. Also, yeah, these borders aren't perfect, but they're not meant to be. They want to weaken any resistance fighters that are still there. Macedonian state, the Serb state, the Croat state, the Croat and Bosnian state, actually. There is a large Hungarian state. Then there is the Baltic state, the Polish state, that managed to gain Kaliningrad, but also lose some lands. But gain some lands, they're fine. There's the thick Slovak state, the northern French state, the southern French state, and the Catalonian state. From there's a southern Italian, northern Italian, there is a Belgian, there's a Dutch, there is and there's a Czech state. Besides that, this is the largest state, the German state, and this is what the HRE's divisions roughly look like. Also the Tunisian state, but that's just regular Tunisian borders. So yeah, that is their divisions. Let me know if you like that, actually, if I should start adding in the borders. Not a lot of people do it anymore, but I do think it's interesting to see how they're dividing it up. A lot of autonomy in the Balkans, not so much more in Central Europe. But this is still a force to be reckoned with. Once again, no way this could hold out in real life. Political instabilities would get to them long before other wars would. With that, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.